before COVID, there was a massive sort of I call it like Las Vegasization, like being like Vegas as a city, as also the hospitality groups behind the industry wanted to demonstrate that, not just demonstrate, but they wanted to, in order to make it a bigger city, a bigger economy, they have to make sure the level in which entertainment industry can really scale up to the level of a trading based city such as New York, or a political based city such as, you know, Washington DC and Paris. So entertainment industry and hospitality is being pushed to a new level. And they also exporting the business tied to, you know, a lot of places, a lot of existing tourist hotspots. They begin to bring in chefs from you know, Michelin starred restaurants. They train them from Las Vegas, and they set up new locations in, let's say, Indonesia, in Bali, in Singapore, and where this restaurant will begin to train, you know, more local chefs. So it's and that creates just like a new wave of you know, world-class food industry or entertainment industry, and begin to planning this little like Las Vegas seed everywhere else. It might not be the seed of gamble, because obviously gamble is what Vegas was known for, but it's not what I think Vegas want to become in the future. Vegas wanted to become the new Hollywood. It wanted to become the new premier sport events center in the world. It wants to become the where all the movies were made and all the nightclubs, all the biggest name musician based. So and that, you know, that was before COVID. I think after COVID, we'll all have to rethink what the commercial space, what the distance between people are.
Yeah, that's very true. And then last year, probably 2 years ago, when I saw T-Mobile Arena, they finished the construction in Las Vegas. It's totally changing my mind, because it's never happened before to have this type of big arena stadium. So I can see that they gradually change to this direction. So what kind of opportunity you can see that for the architect they will able to pick up from this transition?
For the transition, I would say just there will be new concept of space coming up in the future. There will always be. People will begin to try out different combinations. For example, if you look at the restaurant Tao, it's a hybrid between a theater and restaurant. It's not just a typical restaurant where you go and eat and you finish your food and you go. You left. It's a restaurant, but it's established almost like a little mini theater. You go in and you hang out in a restaurant. You go do a little dance. You come back. You grab some drinks, and you talk to someone. Then you come back for more drinks. And that sort of theater setting of the restaurant, a social theater, really changed the way how that particular what the food industry used to be. Now the dining experience in a restaurant like this is less about exclusive food. It's more about a satisfied night. And that alone, it generate more revenue for restaurants.
Mm. Hi, TaiLi. Good morning.
Hi.
Thank you so much for your time. I tried to create a project called Showcase to kind of interview different creative people to show their work. So when I'm in Los Angeles right now. So when I start have more interview in the East Coast, I thought about you. And then I know that you are one of the legendary in my college. So, and then I would like to take this opportunity to interview you to see what you're doing. Also, would you mind use your language to say hello to our audience from your country?
Hey, my name is Tai-Li Lee. 你好. Yeah, 你好, 大家好.
Hello, 你好. So, yeah, hey, TaiLi. So before we start, I would like to get my audience know who you are, where you come from, and also what is your major.
So my name is Tai-Li. I was born in Taiwan, and I came to United States for college, studying architecture, and I finished. I went to a community college called East Los Angeles Community College in Los Angeles, and I transferred to Pratt Institute in New York City.
Can you share about a little bit more why you study architecture as your major?
For that reason, I always been interested in art as a kid. But there was a thinking in Asian sort of among Asian parents in Taiwan that art is not it might not be a sufficient career, resourceful career. So the alternative for me to look into that is a sort of hybrid between art and engineering, or at least a field of study that has a combination of artistics but the a rigor of engineer, or like something that just make the parents feel that you're a little bit more useful.
Really?
And ended up in and that was the initial search. So that architecture ended up being where I think that the two of the things I was both good at kind of happened simultaneously, and I don't have to sacrifice too much of what I love and versus what I'm also good at. So that was the reason looking into architecture. But the reason study abroad was just at the time a quick survey of what the space, what the environment around is rather chaotic. I wasn't born with the appreciation of what the landscape, the streetscape, or the design, the living environment of Taiwan. So a reasonable thought is just I have to get the education somewhere else in order to out of the box. And then I think the U.S. become a very natural sort of destination just because it's vast school system, and also vast amount of list of architectural school that is both famous and also reachable for my family. So then I came over and started off from Los Angeles, and then I realized that I had a goal of reaching back to my audience in Asia. So the architecture education at the time in West Coast, a lot of them were focused less about high rise, less about dense urban settings. So So after 3 years of community college study of architecture, I decided that East Coast, New York City, school in New York City might provide me more of the sort of mass housing, dwelling, high-rise sort of field of study. And that's when I decided that I would come over and finish my education. So the application will be you have to have a certain amount of credits. Like you have to fulfill as much as credit you wanted to as a transfer student. Obviously, I don't recall there was a minimum amount, but the more credit you can transfer can fulfill the your destination program, the easier or the least amount you're gonna spend after you transfer. It was a little difficult from West Coast transfer to East Coast because their school system have different way of evaluating. So some of the courses, some of the credit I took in West Coast may not be able to be transferred to East Coast that easy. I don't know. I don't remember exactly the technical issues there, but for 3 years of credit I took in West Coast, it's only worth about 2 years of time East Coast. Well, you leave most of the stuff in the school. You don't, I think as a student, you don't even have space in your bedroom. Like it's, people spend most of the time working in school, and they just walk back to their, dormitory or their rental places. It's rare that student will have to travel for long distance unless they live in a parent's house. That could be the case, or they have their own car they can drive. But the fact that you have to find parking on New York Street, there's no student parking for Pratt, so that discourages a lot of people driving to school already.
Oh, I see. So, when you transfer to school, so you get yourself settled down, you go through your 5-year undergrad program. So, can you also share with us what is the most difficult moment when you're in your school after you transfer?
After, yeah. The difficult things, for me was collaboration, a team. That has to be tribute to how the education system in Asia works, because when I grew up in Taiwan, the school has a reward system based on performance of individual students. So it's all about how achievable, how much you can achieve as individual student. Very rare that a course or an activity is instructed upon a group sort of collaboration setting, because it's hard to evaluate, and sometimes it's hard to be fair for individual student and for parents who care about their own kids' achievement. That became difficult when I first started working with my classmates. And I will always overachieve, try to obtain most amount of works without communicating with my partner, without sharing my thought with my partner. All I wanted to do is to do more work and better works. That that might makes you feel like you were a better student, but indeed you were just failing. You know, you realize that really when you came to a big firm as a designer, then the moment when you really need to work with a team, your manager, or even when you become a manager, that's the thing that eventually will come back. You have to rethink about it.
So how did you overcome this kind of situation? I believe that is more tied to your personal value of education. But in the United States, you need to get used to a new system. How do people communicate and collaborate together? So how did you overcome the situation?
I don't think I had overcome. I have thought through about this in school, but I do think about it all the time when I became an architecture designer in my first office. You know, after I obtained a work, you started to work on project that's too big for yourself. And you started to work with your manager on the project, and then that's when you begin to think, like it's not so wise that you nothing should be accomplished by a single person. Amazing project should be an effort of a group of amazing people. And how that amazing process happened, there are a lot of wisdom that need to happen there. And you need years of communicating with each other, understanding the strengths, understanding the weakness of each person, to be able to allow that team collaboration seamlessly happen or effortlessly happen.
That's a really great point to think about how you, from your school experience to your actual practice in the architecture field. So also when you graduate from your school, how your transition from the school to work in the United States?
So I got a recommendation from one of the school faculty, and my first job was at Rock Group. It's an architecture and interior design firm that focuses a lot on hospitality projects such as restaurants, hotels, large shopping mall, etc. And when I started, most of the projects were interior design projects. So I would say my first hard transition in the career of architecture is from thinking about envelopes, thinking about forms, thinking about theories, into thinking about how things are really, like how things are actually used, and how events are actually happened, and begin to readjust a lot of the design decisions based on this observation of the interior commercial project. And then therefore eventually the kind of design intention, the interest of design inspiration or exploration also begin to shift from that something I used to look like space without human when I was in school. I like to look at the power and data infrastructure when I was in school, and now I'm looking into customer, like human actions happening in the space, and how the the psychology of people looking at each other, etc. So it's a very drastic shift of interest, but I think that only makes things more interesting. It was a little frustrated in the first, I would say, 2 years when I was at Rockwell Groups, because I I was wondering what I've learned in school. The thing that I've loved was really hard to carry into what I do as a profession. But I started to get into the interior design, architectural, the way how they operations of business, the way how things are still facilitated in a very effective way. They might not be looking very effective or very slick, but things are actually happen in a very efficient way for the space or the business to maintain. And that for me is incredible. I also can describe it as an incredible machine. And that suits what I've studied before in school. So part 2 just started with my a studio that me and my partner established from 2016. Is called New Practice Studio. We worked together because there was a hotel project. We were a friend of mine from Pratt, we were college together. We were co-workers together in Rockwell Group. So we've been working on this hotel project together under the table. And then we felt there's a good chemistry happened between me and my partners. We felt we established a good team. So we continue our collaboration, and then we started a studio. With this studio, we had both interior design architects, and also one of my partner he used to work at Bernard Shumi's office, so he was very interested into the envelope of building the institutional architecture, and then we combine what we know from the both world into a different projects, basically. So each partner has different interest in like I myself predominantly looking into the operation, the planning of the spaces, and then my partners, one of them is really interested in form making, a creation of a form, and also establishment of envelopes, like a continuities. And then one of my other partners, he is really interested into the soft component of the space, such as furnitures, lightings, decoration. You can say decoration, but it's more like a flavoring of the space for us. So we kind of try to have all these three come together in various different degrees. So in some of our project, you can see a more architecture-dominated, settings. You can see sometimes a more furniture decoration-based settings. You can also see sometimes we try to challenge the way how a space or as a business should be worked. So right now, if you look at the background, it's one of the rice noodle shop in East Village, New York City. In this project, what we have really tried to establish is two things. One is a continuous long expression of dining space. It's a stretched space, as opposed to a lot of the traditional, very standard restaurant with emphasis on a economy of spaces. Now what we try to do is we put the focus. The event of eating, the activity of eating is really now on the stage. It's in the center. It's in the axis of the restaurant. And that axis is reinforced not just on the planning level, but it's also reinforced from envelopes. So there are these wooden slots with sliding that kind of intertwine with that main restaurant axis. And that just create a wonderful expression and also focus for the eating experience. And that's what actually makes a lot of aside from the restaurant also provide very decent, authentic rice noodle from China. The eating, the fact that people were eating right in the center of these elongated space were just, it's never tiring for people. So this one is the tea shop in also East Village of New York, and it was looking at basically an upgraded version of a bubble tea shop, a fruit tea shop. It's also a sort of hybrid. So it took on the owner, we took on a concept that's a type of business concept that's already in Asia. It's the sort of, we call a flagship experience. So instead of a tea shop with just a counter, you order and pick up. This particular tea shop is trying to establish a variety of seatings around it, and also a bigger tea shop space to provide a sort of a different experience, a much more upgraded experience than the typical shops. So what we have established is also a kind of tone and a design aesthetics that begin to tether with customers, a more female-based clienteles that usually they would like to visit the tea shop for their products. So the spaces were designed with the feminine mind, customer in mind, and we also had worked with artists to complete the artwork on the throughout the tea shop that basically tied into the brand and also the product of this particular tea shop. It's one of a more programmatic experiment for us. So just because the type of tea shop in this kind of scale wasn't very common, and it do present a kind of visual sort of it was a very visually pleasing and experimental result for project like this for tea shop. However, they do face a tremendous amount of difficulty during the COVID outbreak because it's just massive amount of space, and that renders the business very not profitable at all. So, but we like this project just because it presents a very different tea shop typology, especially here in New York Cities. We can argue that it's easier for tea shop to get this big in West Coast or maybe in China, but in New York City, the people over here still are trying to get into the tea culture. This was, at the time, it was a really good, it presented a really good image for for tea lovers living in East Village, New York City.
Yeah, hey, TaiLi, I do have a few questions about this project. I see that you very carefully to arrange your design your furniture to form the circulation for the experience. And also the choose of color is very, very interesting. Can you also share about the your color scheme and also the furniture development process a little bit?
Yes. So the furniture was designed with as a way that it actually prescribed a preferred way how customer flows through space. So as you enter the tea shop, it will lead you to first ordering of the pastry and ice cream products, and then later pick up the products. In terms of the color, it was again like we used pink as the predominant primary color for the project, with a hint of blue to sort of present it's a different version of the classical sort of red and blue romantical period color. Red and blue that was used in a period of time of art history, but now it's pink and it's very light blue that just presented a more fun, more casual version of that classical contrast. And you can see the classical drawings we were trying to mimic in the background. It has a sort of light blue background, and people were wearing pink shirts and holding the pink sort of teacups.
Also, those furniture, are you custom make all of them, or do you find a supplier they actually doing this type of furniture?
They were all custom made.
So one of the reasons I asked for this is because I'm doing one of my project is an esports center, and then we're looking for circulation, how to get a very different experience to our student in my school. So and found this type of furniture create a very good circulation and worked with the space very well. That's why I'm very interested about it. So is it fabricated in the East Coast, or you somewhere in the United States?
Yeah. We tried it, but we later found that there are a lot of things for us to improve as well. The later operation time of this particular circulation, we felt that there are still a lot of improvements, such as if we can push the product further outwards, it wouldn't be that it was still the project at this particular design is still a little confusing. It was not obvious as a very commercial coffee shop such as Starbucks, or a lot of the grab and go establishment. Their circulation was really designed with high efficiency in mind, but it was visually less interested. So we were trying to find a middle ground where the space was confined by floating furnitures, which will shape the way how people circulate, but there's still room for a lot of improvement.
Got you. So, and also I saw your website before we started the interview. It's also a lot of great projects. Would you mind just pick a few more projects can share with us?
Okay. We can look at the noodle shop. So here on the screen, this is called Hal Noodle in West Village, and you can kind of tell it's already a very different project from the two that we just saw. This will be a much more soft element driven project. They are furnitures. Some of them were a little antique looking, and a focus of the space is a lot less about architectural elements, such as what you saw before, like the wood slots or custom furnitures. But in this particular one, it's a lot more like about lighting in the middle of this garden-like space, and different shapes of planters and seatings and tables were come together to make the space less like a homogeneous space, but make it feel like a variety of elements already preoccupied the space before customer even arrived. So in this type of design, what we're really interested in is just a nature of differences that exist in between objects, in between elements that can already populate the space, that creates dialogues between the tall trees and between the lightings hanging from the sky. These are the thing that is also naturally exist in our daily life, but oftentimes it wasn't. It still takes a lot of effort to get it to the stage.
Yeah, I really like the combination of the material. So also particular for the furniture, this is really eye-catching element. When I first get to this restaurant, I believe that I really want to try different type of furniture settings, because very, very unique in this restaurant.
Yep.
Yeah. Great.
So let me see if I can find. I mean, these are the three more of the extreme projects. We can talk about a lot form driven in the first one. We talk about a lot of the programmatic innovation on the second project, and for the third project, we look at the way how objects and decoration and furniture and soft element of the space are composed and choose. For a lot of the interior based projects, we were focused on a degree of varying between these three disciplines.
Hey, TaiLi, would you mind go back to your first project, because our interviewers only show the first image. Not this one, sorry. The Ludo house. So that's what gave us have some opportunity to see it over here. So this is
So this is the first project. Yeah, you can kind of tell it has these wooden slots. The envelopes that shapes the dining space, and if we look from the street, across the street, you can kind of see this kind of language, and also a facade. We're trying to reinforce it all together, so everything looks like it's a line of people eating underneath a variety of handmade shaped light bulbs. That this particular image for the inner community was also visually very powerful, and that attracts new customer to just wanted to try sit down in the middle, and plus they provided really good products. So this was where we think one of our most successful, very successful venue.
And also, what is the? I know that on your left hand side right now, your facade is covering up the space behind. What is the space behind? On this left hand side, yeah.
Oh, the space behind here is just another shop. So the space behind was actually just the brick wall.
Oh, the brick wall. So
property wall. So we just exposed it, and then we have linear lightings in the bottom shoots up.
Yeah, it's very clean execution. That's a very nice project. Terry, great. Thank you for your great sharing with different type of design principle behind your design interior, also how to use architecture to help your customer to enhance their operation. So I would like to wrap up this conversations now. First of all, you go through different education system. I believe that your experience is very interesting too. Can you share with us what is your favorite college tradition?
I can't really recall any, but maybe drink a lot of coffee.
Really? Do you have good coffee in your school?
Yeah, we do have a good, well, not in the school, but there was a really good coffee shop on the next block.
Next block. So is this an independent coffee shop or something like this?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I mean, I don't smoke, but I believe there are students who smokes. They have their own traditions.
Got you. Hey, also, what is your school district next to your school? What is the district look like?
It's in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So it was in it was in the Bed-Stuy area of Brooklyn, and at the time it wasn't the the lovest neighborhood for the people, and sometimes you can hear gunshots on the street when I was in college.
Oh really? Sounds scary.
But it's been gentrified, so it's pretty much like Fine Arts now. There are a lot of new housings coming to the neighborhood. So, and then obviously the price of the grocery shopping has gone up since then as well. That's what the neighborhood is like.
Yeah, for some reason I like the old style better than the new one. I like the authentic style around the art district area. But anyway, this is just my personal opinion about my school.
Yep.
Yeah. Also, I can see that you have very strong visual and graphics and design element embedded to your project. I believe that you do have a lot of great architect or designer have the influence of your work. Would you mind share with us your favorite architect or designer that work their design have great influence of your current practice now?
I'll say when I was in school, people like Toyo Ito inspired a lot for me for the structural form investigation. Ram Kuhas, OMA inspired me a lot for how various things can come together, collage together to inform new programs, new ways of arrangements, and to express differences. Where when I started work, I think my old officers, the principal and also the founder, David Rockwell, inspired me a lot as well. Just the way how he looked at he used his theatrical background to look at how commercial interior design should be treated. So interior design should be treated as a stage for human life, a stage for eating activities, a stage for people viewing each other and seeing things happening around. That's sort of where a lot of these things I found influenced my design and my view.
All right, so thank you. So also I know that a lot of students from your hometown maybe also want to study abroad to learn more architecture in the United States. So would you mind give us your advice for those students?
Something for them?
Yeah.
Well, work hard, never quit. But if you find something that you like better, always still give it a try and go for it.
Great. So also I know that some of the people, they search the video over the YouTube, they may really like your work and want to collaborate with you. So how they can contact you in the future if they really want to get in touch with you?
You can contact with me via our website, newpractice.co, without T, without N. So newpractice.co, and that's our studio website. It also has our information, or you can email directly to me. It's gonna be TLEE@newpractice.co.
Okay. So also, Terry, do you have any social media you're running right now?
I have a personal social media. It should be TaiLi Lee. I can't recall if I have TaiLi Lee on Instagram. If TaiLi Lee or TaiLi Lee 3. It should be just TaiLi Lee without dashing. Yep.
Great. Yeah, I will put this to videos, and also if everyone want to contact TaiLi, so that also you can contact me if you cannot find him. So and then I believe that that will be easier to communicate in the future. So hey, TaiLi, thank you so much for your time. So I would like to take my final moment to do advertisements here. So if everyone really like this conversations, please like and share, and that will help me to distribute this video to other people. They will consider to study abroad, and also they want to learn more about architecture. And also also if you have any comments, please put below, so I will get back to you. If you have any other major you really want to understand and learn more, so please email me, and then I will try to find some student around this major, and then we'll have a conversation. So TaiLi, thank you so much for your time, and then I really enjoyed this conversation, and then to see the design philosophy behind the scene. Thank you so much. So I would like to say
Thank
goodbye.
you. Yeah. Wow.
Okay.